Today we are going to make these creepy eyeballs that we're going to put on the door for our ghostly gala. So to start, you will need the paper that I gave you. And if you don't have that, just go grab something to trace. This is about as big, this is just as big as a regular piece of paper. In fact, you really don't even have to trace it. The first one I made, I just drew a circle and then got started with it, okay? So what we're going to do, let's see where my sample is. What we're going to do is we are going to draw the iris and then the pupil. Now your iris can be anywhere in your eye. It can be smack dab in the middle. It could be looking up, looking down, looking over, wherever you want. So you decide where you want the iris or the colored part of your eye to be. You can just freehand it if you want, or you can trace something. I have this little clear dish I'm going to trace. If you don't have something to trace, but you want to go grab something, just pause the video and go ahead and grab something. For this one, I put my iris sort of over to the side, but for this one, I'm just going to put it smack dab in the middle. Oh, I forgot to tell you what you're going to need for this, didn't I? So you will need crayons or colored pencils. I sort of have a selection of both. You might need an eraser if you're going to use a pencil and you want to erase something. And you might need a Sharpie or a black marker if you want to darken your lines. You don't have to have a Sharpie if you don't want to. You will need something to color with though. So colored pencils or crayons. Markers don't work real well for this because you're going to be doing some layering and markers don't layer real well. All right, so I'm going to put my pupil right smack dab in the middle. My iris. Come on, Mrs. Parker, get yourself together. And I'm going to put my pupil. The pupil always goes in the middle of the iris, so it would look a little wackadoodle if your pupil is somewhere else, but hey, you know what? It's a creepy eyeball art project, so, whatever. You can find something smaller to trace in the middle, or you can just freehand it. I'm just going to freehand it if it's not perfect. Oh, well. All right, so there's my pupil. Now, we need to have a highlight for our pupil. So your highlight can be shaped like that, or you could do something else. So for example, if this is my pupil, you could do a highlight that kind of looks like that and color in all around it. So you can decide if you want a highlight that's a circle or if you want a highlight that's more of a line. So I think for this one, since I almost always do a circle, I'm just going to go with this one. And once you get that highlight drawn, then you're going to want to color in all around it. This is pretty much the only time you're going to need to use your Sharpie or your black marker. The rest of the time we're going to be using crayons and colored pencils. And you know what? If you only have crayons and colored pencils, then just color in this pupil with a black crayon or a black colored pencil. Okay, so notice while I'm doing this, I'm just taking sort of really little strokes with my marker. I want to be kind of careful with this. Okay, almost finished with my pupil. While you're doing your pupil, you can be thinking about what colors you would like to use for your iris, the colored part of your eye, because we're going to be using a variety of colors. Okay, so there's my pupil. And we're ready to roll on to the next part. Okay, so when I did my sample, I kind of went with sort of a green and blue with yellow in the middle. So I think I'm going to do that to start with, but then I decided that I was going to get a little crazy with it too. So you'll have to see what I have in mind. Now, when you are coloring for this, don't go in a circle around like this. If you looked in the mirror and looked at your pupil, you would notice that the color kind of radiates. I keep calling it the wrong thing, sorry. The color kind of radiates from your pupil, okay? So when you're doing this, you might want to do it this way. And in fact, I'm going to start to vary this a little bit. I got to talking and not thinking. I'm going to vary it a little bit just to add a little interest. So you see how I have some shorter strokes and not as much color there. Now I'm going to choose a different color, and I'm going to start to fill in a little bit. Again, I'm coloring from the, get it right, the pupil out. Okay, and just going to put a little variety in here. A little bit, some are shorter, some are a little darker, some are a little longer, some are a little lighter. And you're going to want to keep doing this until you are happy with what your iris looks like. Now I'm going to experiment a little bit when I do this, and I'm going to add some more color to this. I'm not going to go with just traditional green and blue because you know what? This is a creepy eye, so it doesn't have to be realistic, and I can do whatever I want. Notice how I'm kind of going over here and I'm getting these edges that I didn't get, but okay, so now I'm going with some purple now, and I'm gonna color that in. And again, I'm sort of like randomly coloring around here. I mean, I wouldn't say 100% random. I am looking and making some choices about where I'm coloring. I'm looking where there's some empty spaces. So this is how I'm going to continue to work on my iris. Just keep coloring around until you have colored in all of the paper that is making the iris. You don't want any white showing there. So I'm actually going to pause the video while I finish doing this, and you can keep working on yours. Actually, I'm not going to pause it just yet because I'm going to bring in kind of an unexpected color. Okay, so I'm bringing in this orange, and I'm not sure how it's going to look when I'm done, but I'm interested to see what my sort of rainbow iris is going to look like. And I didn't pause it because I just wanted you to know that you too can choose colors that are unexpected for your iris. Okay, I'm also going to go with some red because we know red is super creepy, and I'm going to continue working on this. So I'm going to pause it, and I will come back once I have all of this eye filled in. So you keep coloring and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I'm back, and I love the way my iris turned out. I love all the colors. Again, you can do yours any combination of color that you want. If you want to make it realistic, you want to use like blues and greens, maybe a little brown in there, that's totally fine. If you want to make it completely creepy, whatever. Okay, so the next step is to make some lines that are radiating out of your, what's this thing again? Iris. Pupil. And all I have right now is a colored pencil, which I am not loving the way this is working because it is not really showing up. So what I'm going to do, you can see that when I did this one, it showed up just fine. And that's because I didn't have as much crayon layered there. But this one I have a ton of crayon, so it's not showing up as well. So we have a couple of options. We can use a fine point Sharpie or a black marker, or, you know, if all you have is this kind of Sharpie, you can use that too. Or you could use a black pen. I'm going to pause the video a second. Wait a second. I might not even have to pause it. I think I have a thin Sharpie right here. And, oh, that doesn't want to work either. Oh, I thought for sure that would work. Let's see if it's, oh, it's not working because it's not working. Okay, let's see if I have another one. Okay, let's see if this works. There we go. Okay. So, when you're doing these lines, you want to flick. I don't know if you notice that I'm kind of like flicking this as it's coming out. Not loving the way this is working either. It's not really showing up. I wonder if I should take a chance and use my fat Sharpie. Let's keep going with this for a little bit. So I'm flicking out, And you can see that it's starting to show up. So, and you can also see I keep turning my paper. So as you're doing this, yeah, this is not really showing up real well either. It looks like my Sharpies are all kind of dying on me. Let me see if I have another one, or the Jar O Sharpies, and see what's going on here. Let's try this one. Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can see that I'm flicking it out. And then as I go around, I'm beginning to think that maybe I need to try my big one. I don't want to ruin it with this, but let's see. Okay, so I did a couple of test runs there to see how it would look. And see if we can make this work. Okay. Anyways, these lines get flicked. You want to flick. See, when I didn't turn my paper, it kind of went a little wonky and not the way I want it. And so I'm just going to do that. And as I go around, I'm also going to vary the length of these lines that I'm making. And as I go around, I'm going to look, and anywhere that maybe there's two lines, I'm just going to kind of bisect that. Okay. And just flicking it out like that. Okay. And once you're happy with your lines, you can stop. Now you can also, if you want, I'm going to try this, see if this marker will work for me. You can also come in from the outside edge, right? I'm hesitant to use my super thick marker because I think it just might be too much. And I do have magic markers here, but I don't want to get them out. Okay, so you could do it this way as well. Okay, so I'm coming in from this way and flicking, and then you can also come in and flick it that way. Okay. You probably, let's see, we tried the black colored pencil, right? Yeah, that didn't work real well. Wonder if a black crayon would work. Should we try? Yeah, let's try and see what happens. Okay, let's see. This is my super pack, but it's missing some colors. Black's probably one. So I will try this dark gray. I'm not feeling good about that. I think it needs to be black. Or maybe this dark blue. We'll try that, right? There's no mistakes in art, right? Nope, that's not going to do it for me. Okay, so anyways, lines that are flicking out from your pupil, yeah, got that right, or lines that are flicking in from your iris, okay? And when you're happy with the way that looks, you can stop. Okay, so now let's go to this white part of the eye. I don't know what it's called. And we're going to sort of give it a little bit of depth by adding some shadow here on the edge. Now remember, when you use, and you can use a crayon for this if you want, if you don't have color pencils at home, remember if you hold your pencil further away, it helps you achieve a lighter value because you just won't press as hard. So hold your pencil kind of up at the top, or your crayon up at the top, and just kind of go around the edge of your eye. And I think you notice that, again, I'm turning my paper because the eye is round, so I want my lines to be round, or else it might look a little funny. I want to, you know, go around the contour of the eye so that I keep that round shape, okay? Okay, now, having said that, if I want to make it a little bit darker, I can also kind of do a little scrumbly business like this. I think I've heard this called scrumbling. It's kind of when you just do random lines wherever you want a darker value. Remember, value is one of those elements of art. So even though you are at home today and we are doing something that is going to be part of a bulletin board, we're still using the elements of art, because remember, art cannot exist without the elements of art. We wouldn't have art if we didn't have color or value or shape. Those are all things we have used as we are making this eyeball. Okay, so once you've done that, grab your red and do sort of the same thing. Darker towards the edge, lighter as you go in. This is just kind of giving it a little extra something something. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I think it gives it a little extra something, and we do want our eyeballs to be extra creepy. Okay, so now I'm probably spending not as much time doing this as I could. I should probably pause the video and let you get on with it, but I'm assuming that you are working as I am talking because you love the sound of my voice and you just miss me so much because, you know, we're not in school hanging out together. Okay, so again, you're going to have a darker value towards the edge, and it's going to be a little bit lighter as you go towards that beautiful rainbow colored. I love my rainbow colored iris there. Okay, so once you get this and you are happy with it, it's kind of darker around the edge, getting lighter towards the center, and I would probably actually do this a little bit more. Make it a little bit darker. I think you can see that that gives it a little more depth. I think I would go around and do that and add a little more using my red and my black pencil. Anyways, time for the blood vessels. Okay, so when you make your blood vessels, they can come out of your iris and come from this direction, and they are pretty much just wiggly lines. This guy is looking exhausted already. And I kind of just did some random wiggly lines. I wouldn't want to say I'm not thinking about it, but, you know, pretty random. Making some come from one end and some come from the other end to add a little variety. Variety is one of the principles of design. Oh, so much learning going on with this lesson. Okay, so I'm already really liking this. Now, I cannot wait to see these. You guys better be bringing these in. We have to hang them on the door. So I really want to see what you're doing with this. And, all right, let's see. There we go. Okay, all right, I like it. It is one creepy eyeball that we are going to hang on the art room door on my jar of eyeballs that you have undoubtedly already seen since you've been in school on Monday and Tuesday. All right, friends, can't wait to see your creepy eyeballs, and I hope you use a variety of colors so everybody's looks different, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.